What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. As always, John Kelly here with Jeremiah Stringer, the king of Kentucky backpacking. And Jeremiah, we've got a conversation to continue in this episode.
Yes, we're still here at Mono's Coffee Shop.
Yes, we are.
Recording some lovely content for our beautiful people out there.
They have the most clean, sparkling water.
And they have the most delicious coffee.
They do. You know what they have that's really good here?
What's that?
It's the most millennial thing I do.
Oh, good Lord. Here, I am a millennial.
Avocado toast.
Oh, what is it about the avocados?
I don't know, man, but I love me some avocados.
Yeah, it has changed my Subway order from, well, initially I was a flatbread, Philly cheesesteak kind of guy from Subway. And then I went to their pizzas. I don't know if you've had the Subway pizzas.
Yes, I have.
And, sneak a meatball sub in there every once in a while. And then I transitioned mostly into chicken bacon ranch.
Okay.
But, dude, I found out that Subway had avocados. Keep in mind, I was in college for 4 years, and you, buy these meal plans. And there's so many restaurants on campus you can eat from. Subway's one of them. It was right next to the tutoring lab that I worked at for a couple of years.
Okay.
And so, I got to try literally so much Subway you get burned out on Subway.
Oh, yeah, quickly.
But now, the Mexicali. If you haven't had
I'll tell you, man, you take avocado and bacon and just put them with almost anything, and the world just opens up for you. It's just like the whole world becomes a better place. And they have the best avocado toast here.
Oh, I believe you.
So
I feel like I've had it, actually.
I'm going to give a secret. I'm going to say it quietly because I don't want Andrew to hear what I'm about to tell you, people. If you want to make the best avocado toast, it's sourdough toast. Okay, sourdough. It's thick.
Yeah.
Thick sourdough toast. I'm saying it quietly because I don't want to get, he lets us do this podcast. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Then he puts an entire avocado on these 2 pieces of toast.
He's a madman.
Then he puts everything bagel seasoning.
I was wondering because I had it and I was like, this is seasoned up.
Yeah, it's everything bagel seasoning, lemon juice, dash of salt, and sesame seeds.
Somebody just got in their car right now.
Bro.
They're driving to get avocados.
Go to your local grocery store, get some avocados, get all that stuff I just told you about.
Yeah.
And change your life. That's all I'm saying.
Dude,
change your life.
I was on a trip with Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir.
Oh, yeah.
And one of his buddies.
Wait, you go backpacking with him?
Sometimes. Go backpacking with Dad. Anyway, old Blue Star was on this trip, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it was my first time meeting Scott. Great guy.
Yeah.
Little guy. We were doing the Pine Mountain Scenic Trail. You can go watch the videos if you want to. And
it was a bit of an adventure.
It was definitely an adventure. The first night, if I remember correctly, it was the first night. We were sitting around camp, and I was like, what is this guy eating? I brought beef stroganoff or something like that.
Right.
I was thinking, we're walking this section of trail. We're going to be out here for multiple nights. I'm going to bring some lightweight food and maybe a few luxury items.
Yeah.
You can either bring heavy food, less luxuries. This trip, I was going with the light food. He pulls out a backpacker pantry, some kind of burrito meal, I don't know, taco with black beans or something, one of the rehydration meals.
Yeah, I got you.
All right. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm having beef stroganoff. This guy's having backpacker pantry. Nope. Cooks it up, and then while it's rehydrating, water has to boil. You pour it in there, leave it for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. He pulls out a tomato. And I'm like, what? This guy's got a full tomato.
A tomato. How did he keep it from getting all destroyed in his pack?
I don't know. I guess he put it on top in his food bag.
Wow.
Okay. But wait, there's more. Billy Mays here. He pulls out tortillas.
Billy Mays.
He pulls out a bag of tortillas, dices up the tomato. His food rehydrates. Whoosh, put some the
taco
backpacker
meat.
Oh yeah, dude. Tacos in there, rice. There was rice in the backpacker pantry. It had black beans in there, corn. So he's putting this on the
They pull out cheese.
Cheese, shredded cheese, sprinkle it on top, diced up the tomato. I thought, oh, he's done. Nope. Avocado. Oh, the cherry on top.
Man.
Cut up the avocado, put it on there. And I said, man, I'm sitting over here eating this stupid beef stroganoff. And he is having a full Chipotle burrito over here, and I'm
Chipotle burrito.
you know, the
So,
avocado's
so
the
now you got me
secret.
thinking because like I'm going out Friday night.
Yeah,
I'm going out with my buddy. And by the time this airs, I've already gone. But
yeah,
I'm going out Friday night with my buddy Josh and his friend from Ohio.
sure.
And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, now I have I've been buying these big canisters of freeze dried food.
Mhm.
So I've got an entire canister of freeze dried sausage bites, like sausage bits. I've got a container that is powdered sour cream. You just add water to it, and
Yeah.
it turns into sour cream. And so I'm thinking, man, I could bring sour cream,
Yeah,
and I could do these. I could do what you're talking about. I don't have the. I'll have to bring a tomato and an avocado
uh-huh,
and some cheese.
and tortillas.
Yeah, but everybody brings tortillas.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I could do this. I think I could do this. I may have to do this because that just sounds good.
You know what he added on there? He brought the Taco Bell sauce packets.
Yeah.
And Doritos, crunched them up and
Ooh,
sprinkled
Doritos
it
would
in
be
there,
good on there too.
rolled it, give it a little crunch. Now, if I were you, instead of the powdered sour cream, I would probably get the packet sour cream.
The only problem with the packet sour cream is it'll go bad.
Oh, I don't think it'll go bad.
It's going to be like 80.
Yeah, just bury it deep in your pack. I think it'd be fine.
It makes me nervous.
You think so?
Bad dairy makes me nervous.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, I don't know. I just cheese you can get away with
Mm-hmm.
because it's good for a few days.
Yeah.
Even if it's hot out, it's good for a few days if you're careful with it.
I'd probably still chance it, but the
But,
bad
man.
dairy, that could be a recipe for a little backdoor
Uh-huh.
liquid.
Yeah, I'm not going to win the Don't Poop in the Woods game.
No.
That's
No.
not happening.
Yeah, that could be bad.
That could be real bad. So I'm thinking I may bring some of that. I may do that, dude.
Doesn't that sound good right now?
That sounds ridiculously good.
Yeah. Now you got me thinking lunch, dude. Now I'm hungry.
Well, we know we're going for lunch.
Oh,
We're going to a central Kentucky staple known as Drake's.
Yeah.
It is fantastic. But let's get back to talking about some urban backpacking. And if you weren't tuned in last week, I will define urban backpacking as not going into the backcountry and hiking through the woods, but what you're doing is you're going cross country. And
Yeah.
so you're hiking roads and maybe some footpaths. But you're typically sleeping in towns and cities and sleeping in hostels or albergues, as they call them in France and in Spain or whatever. But so last week we talked about the fact that you and Bridgette are going to do the Camino de Santiago.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about the luggage you're going to bring,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not you're going to bring full-size pillows or small pillows. What I want to ask you guys about, or ask you about, because obviously Bridgette's not here, but footwear.
Yes.
Are you bringing multiple pairs of shoes? Because 500 miles
Uh-huh.
is more than the limit for most trail runners. Usually trail runners, you're talking 450 miles max out of a pair of trail
Mhm.
runners. And if you're walking like roads, I would say it's going to be less because I think the asphalt and that is probably going to wear the shoes out quicker.
I think that you're on the right track. That's a fear of mine because, like we was talking last week, I'm 6'3", and I also wear size 15 shoes. So everything I
Man,
get,
your feet are small.
I know. I
Shoot.
know. If I was a professional basketball player, they'd be normal size.
I know.
So I think that it could be difficult to find big enough shoes over there if I have to replace them, because I've mentioned that a lot of my research has been through Reddit because I'm reading hopefully authentic experiences of people
Right.
that have already done it,
Right.
and you can look up advice on pretty much anything, and you get the notion of. Normally, when I'm backpacking, I'm in the woods, and if you don't have it with you and you can't engineer it or problem solve it, then you're just going to have to do without until you get back to civilization.
right.
And that's just the reality of backpacking.
Yeah. We've all had to deal with that.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's awesome. But the more urban backpacking, if you have the money and there's a need, you can just buy it. You know,
Right,
we live in the
right.
21st century. So if I'm needing blister care, I don't have to.
You go to a drugstore.
Yeah, I can just go to the drugstore,
It's
or I can go to a foot doctor. Apparently,
Yeah.
medicine's very cheap too. Like,
Yeah.
I think Dixie in one of her videos, or maybe it's somebody else, was like, I went and I had this foot situation. I got it taken care of, and in the U.S., the doctor's going to bill you, and you're going to have $100 copay and blah blah blah. And there it's like $24 out the door with medicine.
Yeah.
after an hour of treatment on your
Yeah.
foot. So I'm thinking hopefully I can just buy some stuff. But if I was here in the U.S., I might have to rig up a piece of paper towel with some duct tape off my trekking pole to take care of this blister for the next 2 days.
Right.
So hopefully I can buy. But I think that you might be right. I might need to actually go ahead and order like some more shoes. Now, I bought the Hoka Speed Goats last backpacking
Which
season.
I just bought my first pair and I've started
Oh,
using
good.
recently. Yeah, I'll be
A
using
lot
them
of
this
cushion.
weekend. A lot of cushion, and my foot doesn't slide around inside the shoe. With the Topos, while I like them
Mm-hmm.
and they were comfortable and they had a huge foot box, I injured my foot because my foot slides around in the shoe a little too much. And I have wide feet and they slide around. So
Yeah.
that's kind of an interesting thing for me. But I actually stepped on a root. The shoe turned sideways and stopped, but my foot kept going.
This is in the Topos?
This is in the Topos.
Okay.
And I actually I strained a tendon in my foot.
Oh,
And so now that's healed
man.
up. I'm good now, but it like that for about 2.5, 3 months, it was just pretty painful.
Yeah.
And anytime I stepped with any pressure on the outside of my foot, it just was horrendous pain through my foot. And so that's healed up, but I've gone ahead and moved to different trail runners because I can't have my foot sliding around like that. That's just dangerous. You get really hurt. So yeah, I'm using those now, the Speed Goats. I like them.
I used the Speed Goat 4s for like, I don't know how many miles I put on those, but I was on a trip in Grayson Highlands. And if you watch the video on my channel, I show a clip of like literally the back part of the shoe. Like a lot of these like trail runners, the heel of them are curved up, I guess, because when your foot strikes the ground, it lets it just kind of roll in a natural motion.
Yeah.
And that part that's like kind of curled up or waved up, it's just like it's totally ripped off. You know, it's barely hanging there. So I had to throw those in the trash, and I bought from the Speed Goat 4s. Of course, they come out with the Speed Goat 5s this year.
Yep.
And I'm always a little bit fearful.
And I think that's the ones I've got.
Yeah, you probably got the newest ones. But my fear is anytime I have a shoe that works, they always come out with a new iteration. And I don't know why they do this. They fix something. And it doesn't fix something for me. It creates a problem, and then I had to change shoe companies.
I had some. They were the Saucony Mad River TR trail runners, and the original ones they had. I love those shoes.
Yeah,
I wore them out. Like I wore them out to where like the tread on the bottom was almost gone.
Yeah.
And then they came out with the 2s, and I'm like, well, shoot, man, I'm just gonna go with the 2s.
Yeah, the new, bigger, better version.
Well, I get the 2s, and the upper. You might as well just call it strainer shoes.
Oh,
because like
dirt and sand get in there.
Oh my gosh, man!
Yeah.
I did pictured rocks in those shoes, and the moment we start walking across the sand, all of a sudden I feel pressure on my front toes. So much sand had gotten into those shoes that it was pushing against my toes and actually wore a hole in one of my socks.
No way.
Yeah, and so as soon as I got back from that trip, I got rid of those. I was like, forget that. I'm not dealing with that. My feet were always dirty from hiking in those, and I just assumed, it must be some pretty dusty terrain. It's getting in through the tops. No, it was coming in through the upper, through the fabric.
Well, I'm thinking whenever I did the long trail, I went through one pair of shoes and had to make them work.
Those are the Ultras, right?
Yeah, those were the Lone. The Lone Peaks. I can't remember what
3.5s, weren't they?
3.5, could have been 3s or 4s, somewhere in that generation. And I'm talking, I duct tape pieces together. I had holes all in them. The soles were coming off. I mean, it's terrible.
Right.
But I don't know how Amazon. I pay for Amazon Prime.
I do too.
And so sometimes when I order something, sometimes it will be like, you can have it here tomorrow. And sometimes it'll be like, it'll be here in a week, even though I'm paying extra for Amazon Prime. I don't know how Amazon works and if you can ship stuff to albergues. Like, if you're through hiking in the U.S., you can ship something to a post office and just have it held there. Or you can, like, bump things ahead. Like, people will through hike the Appalachian Trail, and, you know, they will pay for a specialized type of shipping so that if you don't open the package, you can just bounce it ahead. You'd be like, I'm going to be at this post office in 3 or 4 days. Well, you can just bounce it ahead, and it's good to go. So I don't know how I ship myself stuff whenever I'm over there. So that is a big time fear on the
Yeah.
shoes. But we talked last week about the luggage situation and how I'm going to be bumping my luggage, my like one piece of luggage ahead, and some
Yeah.
days carry a few things, some days carry a lot of things in my backpack on my back. So I could put an extra pair of shoes in there, but there's only so much real estate you have.
Yeah. But I feel
So
like shoes would be important enough because it's your feet. And that,
yeah,
I mean, you're hiking. So, like, what's the one thing that matters more than it? Your feet. It's
that's
like
your
your
point of
feet and your
contact.
back. It's your feet and your back are the two most important
Mhm.
things in your body when you hike.
Yeah.
And so I would definitely say if it was me, I would probably get 2 pairs and have one that's just there so when the other ones wear out, I can finally put those on.
Yeah.
It would be safe anyways. I think that's the safest way to do it because like you said, I mean, what happens if you go out and you blow out the sole?
Yeah, and then you're looking for another shoe.
And then you do get on Amazon, but it's like 5 days.
Yeah.
And that's 50 miles of hiking
Yeah.
with no sole.
Or
You know,
like you're having to kill time waiting on something to come in.
yeah.
Yeah. Or I could just be a madman like Jeff Carmeyer and just take my Crocs, my camp shoes, and walk for 5 days in those. Can you imagine, dude? I feel like I would go from having remission of plantar fasciitis
Yeah.
to like full blown inflammation
Oh
in
yeah.
a day.
Let me tell you, man. Like I got called an old man the other day because I was wearing Crocs.
What?
I've got my red Crocs, man.
Red Crocs. Well, that is a bold choice. Mine
Dude,
are
they're
royal
hot.
blue.
They're hot, dude.
I bet.
They're red, man. Red hot Crocs.
Red hot.
That's right. And I got called an old man because I was wearing them in public. I'm
Huh?
like, listen, you can say
Who's-
what you want.
Yeah, who's the fashion?
Say what you want, but I'm wearing those Crocs in public. Y'all can deal with it.
I'm taking the Crocs are the best worst trail shoe that exists, dude.
Absolutely.
At camp, I can't think of a better trail shoe besides like a really comfortable water shoe. That way, if you wanted to like walk around and
Yeah.
stuff,
As far as camp shoes go, they're nice. They are a little heavy.
that's the worst part. I'm carrying around these size 15 Crocs and they weigh 2 pounds.
Well, that's what you get for having big feet.
Well, yeah, like I always say, God only grows things till they're perfect, man. And apparently, perfect feet on Jeremiah.
So I was perfect quick.
Yeah, you're perfect a little quicker.
I was perfect really quick. He's like 5'8", nailed it.
Yeah, well, not with me. So I'm thinking I already ordered a pair of inserts. Like I do Pinnacle Power Steps. And let me complain for just a second.
Pinnacle Power Step. What is that?
That is
Is that an insole?
that's an insole that
Okay.
you put in your shoe. Now, used to, they were like, I think $24.99 or $26.99, and
Okay.
I could buy them from my local shoe store. And then we had the Rona for a couple years,
Yeah.
and then it's been a little bit since then. But the price of everything has just went up so
Yeah.
much. So I went on Amazon, of course, was doing my shopping, buying a couple of things for the Camino, and I ordered a pair of inserts because I wear them every day at work. I switch
Yeah.
them between shoes, and I said I need to get a pair and not put them on until we fly out. And
Speaking of, those Reeboks are clean.
oh, thanks, dude.
Look at
These
those.
and they're a good European fit too. I feel like I'd fit right in. I'm walking the streets of London.
I know, dude.
I'd fit right in.
Those
I
are
have
nice, man. Those are real nice.
Well, thank you. I have
Yeah.
I have those inserts in here because these shoes have no support.
Right.
But I figured if I take the inserts over there and don't use them till I'm there, maybe that one pair will last me because they last you 3 or 4 months on a normal basis.
Right.
And
Right.
I buy them for work because I walk on concrete all day.
Yeah.
But I said I'm only going to put them in whenever it's time to actually start walking the Camino. And I'm thinking now maybe I need to bring a second pair of those too.
I'll tell you, and I am the reason I'm thinking about it so much is, I went for a walk yesterday in the morning. I get up at 5:30 and I walk, and I went for a walk yesterday morning, and I didn't pay attention to the fact that the back of one of the shoes, like around the heel, had worn out, and there was a little piece of fabric that turned into like a ball of fabric.
Uh-oh.
It was just sitting up against my heel. By the time I was about to get home, I mean, it's probably a mile from the house, and all of a sudden I just felt like this horrible pain on my heel.
Mm-hmm.
When I got home, that little tiny ball of fabric had worn a hole, like underneath the callus on my heel.
No way.
Yeah. And so, like, it can be the littlest thing that, and if it rubs,
Uh-huh.
you're screwed hiking. Like, you really can't. So I had to go out and buy new shoes yesterday.
Sometimes that's nice.
I didn't have a choice. It was like I have to buy new shoes because like I can't keep walking in these because I can't have a heel with a hole in it all the time.
Yeah.
So like I walked around all day with a big huge Band-Aid on my foot yesterday. And so like for me, I'm always thinking about footwear because it wasn't until about halfway through the Sheltoe when I finally got my feet dialed in. And I started hiking. I actually finished the Sheltoe mostly on Merrill Moabs. If you can believe that.
That's a popular shoe.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
It made miles. It really did. You felt it at the end of the day, the weight of your feet. You could feel it at the end of the day. But they got the job done and I didn't get blisters from that. But the Ultra Lone Peaks tore my feet up. I mean, the blisters were insane. Now, part of it, too, was my feet rarely got dry.
Oh,
And so when you've got wrinkly feet, those wrinkles, they rub and they blister and it's miserable. So I'm always thinking feet.
Yeah.
Like I always think feet because my first big hiking experience, I had horrible issues with blisters. And so I'm always thinking about that. And when I'm thinking of you hiking 500 miles and realizing the life expectancy of trail runners is 350 to 400 miles typically. I mean, you're going to have to change them at some point on the trail.
Yeah, and not only is the trail 500 miles, but think about like your 0 days and walking around town, especially if you're going to be like, let's say that you
That's
stop.
the croc days, man.
Yeah, I remember whenever I was on the long trail, we stopped and did like two and a half days of no hiking, basically.
Yeah.
And we took a bus into the city, and I was injured at the time. My ankle was injured, and I had flip-flops, like the 99-cent flip-flops from Walmart, and those were my town shoes. And I remember walking around, and I was like, man, my feet hurt just because we probably walked 3 or 4 miles around town, and I have no support under my feet.
Yeah.
Even grocery shopping and all that kind of stuff, just, getting stuff ready for hitting the trail for the next 3 or 4 days. But it may be a good idea to take an extra pair of shoes. And you also mentioned, like, your feet where they were all wrinkly and stuff, where they were wet, especially that first couple weeks on the Sheltoe for you.
If you're walking in rain, you could deal with the same thing.
Yes. And I do want to give a little bit of advice to everybody out there that you're having to spend multiple days with wet feet. Because whenever I was doing the long trail, they call it vermud for a reason, right?
Yeah, they do.
So every day, it's like a non-negotiable. Like you're going to have wet feet every day. That's kind of miserable. My one piece of advice would be during lunch, if you stop for lunch, take your shoes off and your socks off.
Yeah.
And just let your feet have a little bit of drying out and recovery time.
And this is going to sound weird, but sit on your socks.
Sit on your socks?
Yeah, sit on your socks.
Tell me more.
The reason I say that is because they'll dry a little bit quicker that way. Because one, you get your body heat, but also because some of that moisture will just suck into your fabric on your butt.
Yeah.
And it's not going to hurt you. It'll dry like in 5 seconds when you start hiking.
That's true.
But it gets it off those socks and it'll help them dry just a little bit quicker. Or if you just got bright sunlight, which if your feet are wet on the trail you're doing, it's probably not a lot of sunlight.
Right. But sometimes it is.
But sometimes it is. And if it is, then you sit on them for a couple minutes and then put them out in the sun, let them dry the rest of the way.
Yeah. I took the inserts out of my shoes and I would prop them up or like lay them out and put my shoe, try to find some sun and let my shoes dry as much as possible during, but they're going to keep getting wet. And I think one of the best things you can do is just give them some relief because you really can develop trench foot.
Oh, badly. And I think that was part of what I was dealing with on the Sheltoe early on. Cause I mean, we've talked about it multiple times, so I'm not going to like beat a dead horse, but a lot of rain, multiple days, nonstop. And you're just hiking in water. Like that's basically what I was doing for 4 days. And so my feet were jacked up. They were hamburger by the end of that, Yeah. And it's painful.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, if you do get some sun, I try to rotate socks. So like, you know how a lot of backpacks have a place on the outside you can stick your trekking pole through and like cinch it up?
Yeah.
Well, I put like wet clothes in those cinches. So like my socks, I do like a sock on each side. So if the sun's hitting my back, then it's hitting those socks and let those dry out. And then I would try to switch, if you had 2 pairs of socks or 3 pairs of socks, not counting the ones for at camp, I'd put a pair on, and then at lunch, I would put leave them out and let them dry as much as possible, and then I put them on the outside of my backpack, and while I'm walking, try to let them dry. And in the meantime, I'd put on, even though they're dirty, they're dry.
Right,
You try
right.
to dust out the socks and stuff.
Well, and one of the biggest hacks, and this is for regular backpacking more than anything, one of the biggest hacks you can do with wet clothes, period, is when you get inside your tent or your hammock, wring out your clothes outside, just outside the door. Wring them out so that you can get them as dry as you can. Then put them in your sleeping bag or your quilt with you, and they will be dry in the morning. Like, I wish I would have known this back when I did the shelter trace.
Yeah.
Because the first day we were hiking, I'm like, it's raining, I'll just deal with it. I didn't put a raincoat on because it's like, I'm going to sweat. So what's the point of having a fully sweat and drenched shirt as opposed to just a wet shirt?
Yeah.
So then I tried to hang it up overnight so it would dry. It didn't dry at all because there's so much moisture inside the tent.
Mhm.
So it just never dried. But if I'd have put that thing in or even worn it to sleep, because it was 80 degrees that day, and like it maybe got down to 70 overnight.
Yeah, you weren't going to get cold.
No. So, I mean, if I would have just slept with it on or put it in the sleeping bag with me, that thing would have been dry the next day and I could have wore it. But it was soaking wet. And so I'm like trying to put it inside my stuff because I didn't know any better at the time. So I'm putting it in my backpack, and it's this damp shirt in my backpack. And
one of the worst things whenever you get up in the morning. So I always bring like a pair of clothes for camp and a pair of clothes to walk in.
Yeah.
No matter what kind of backpacking I'm doing. And one of the toughest parts is a cold morning and you got a soaking wet shirt to put on.
Yes.
Oh, it is brutal, man. And it's sticky because it's wet
and
you're
there's
trying
sweat.
to put it on. Oh, yeah, it's stinky and nasty.
Yep. Put it in there and just let it dry. It sounds weird to people when you say it, but I'm like, I promise you, the body heat inside of there up against you, it will dry out by the morning. I do it with my socks every time because you're gonna stink. Like, here's the thing: people who think they're not gonna stink in the backcountry are dumb.
Yeah,
you're gonna stink. It's gonna happen. Some people like to take deodorant just because it makes them feel better, but the truth is, good luck.
Yeah, you're gonna stink. And I'm gonna be able to wash my clothes.
I know.
How luxurious is that?
Again, the urban backpacking, it's just so different.
Know. I don't know if you pay a fee at the albergues and I don't know if it's like you put quarters in a washing machine, you get a packet of the powder there, or how that works.
Isn't there there's a hike across Scotland that's like that?
Oh, you're talking about the one that Darwin and
TRT
Bigfoot
or
and them done?
I can't remember the name of it now, but these guys did that, and you're going through towns the whole time and all that too, and they're just sleeping in tents just outside of town.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's pretty cool too, just from the standpoint of you're still getting to go through the towns and do all that kind of stuff and see that. Back like the Appalachian Trail, you do see towns, but not because the trail not very many of the trails actually have the trail go through the town.
Yeah, they call them trail towns, but a lot of times you got to hitch in.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, whenever you do laundry at a lot of those trail towns, like I remember one place we stopped at like 3 or 4 days in, you hitch into town. Actually, we hitched in, but we got dropped off. Like, you just say thank you for people that'll give you a ride.
Yeah.
I don't even know if hitchhiking is legal. So they dropped us off like a mile outside of town. And then we tried to hitch in, but nobody would pick us up. So then you walk a mile into town. And we got to this.
And it's road walking, which is what you're going to be doing.
There's going to be some road walking.
Yeah.
So in this particular case, we walked into town and we stopped at a laundromat. And they have like bins of clothes for thru hikers. Because part of the economy in some of these towns is the thru hiking community.
Yeah.
And they depend on them as a source of revenue. So they're helping you and you're helping them by helping stimulate the economy.
Right.
So we stopped in this town. Can't even remember what it's called. And we went to the laundromat, and I wanted nothing more than to take a shower. And my strategy was to find a gym and pay $5
like
to
a
get
YMCA or something like that.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything that had a shower.
Right.
And long story short, I did not find that gym. All we had time to do was wash our clothes and get a few supplies while our clothes were washing and drying. And they had bins inside of the laundromat. And what you do is they have a clean bin with all these folded clothes, and then they have a dirty bin. And what they want you to do is while your clothes are washing, you can have any clothes that you want from the clean bin. And you put those on. You can walk around town and stuff.
So they have clothes you can borrow.
Yeah, it's like I guess it's a little thank you for through hikers for stopping by and doing their laundry at this.
How has nobody talked about this in a video? Or I've never heard this.
Yeah, I think it's fairly common knowledge in the through hiking community, but I don't remember seeing it a lot in videos.
I've never heard anybody talk about it.
Oh,
You're the
really?
first person I've actually heard talk about it. So that's
Yeah.
interesting.
I don't know if every laundromat does it in the trail towns, but
Or maybe it's just that when you're talking to people and they just assume you know.
could
Oh,
be.
you know about long
like
trails.
hiker boxes
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff.
You know about hiker boxes, and I know about all that stuff, but I've never heard this about the laundromats. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So they got all different sizes and, pairs of shorts and, easy slip on, slip off t-shirts and that kind of stuff.
Well, that's really cool.
Our whole trail family, we kind of shared the burden of doing the laundry together. So all of us, to save money, put our clothes into the washing machine together, the dryer, and then maybe one person stays at the laundromat. And you don't have to, but maybe somebody stays there and watches the clothes and gets them switched over, and then the rest of us go to the store, and each of us buys like
Yeah.
a box of different stuff, and then we get back to the laundromat, and we're like, okay, what'd you get? I got Ritz crackers. Oh, you got a box of these kind of candy bars, and then you all kind of switch out, and each of you get a little bit of this box, a little bit of that box, and then your laundry's done, and you get to take the clothes off that you borrowed and throw it in the dirty bin, and it all works out. It's like a little
That's pretty cool.
ecosystem, a little community that you're a part of.
Yeah, and I'm interested when you get back from this hike this summer. I'm interested to see what kind of things like that you talk about, because I know there's things that we don't know about. Like,
it'll be so different.
Yeah, I'm really interested. I know we've already talked. We're gonna make sure you and Bridgette are together and we get you on there to talk about it, do a recap of the trip and what all happens.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to follow along, I am as the airing of this episode, we'll be flying out this weekend, like this upcoming weekend. So I'm going to post a lot, I think, on Instagram while we're there. Maybe do some stories of in the moment, post pictures and that kind of stuff. I don't know if I'll do a daily post of like a recap of the day or what. That would be a really cool way to document it, but I'm definitely going to video the whole thing and try to figure out a creative way to share the experience with everybody once we get back and I start editing the videos and stuff. But, I would.
Now, this isn't going to be like your long trail video, is it?
I'm actually going to do it. And I'm on the hook because I got sponsors. And
stuff. There we go.
So
there we go.
That's some accountability. But if you want it in the moment, kind of follow along the adventure, then probably check out my Instagram, Jeremiah Stringer Hikes.
And I know a lot of people are going to be looking forward to that. And I know you and I have talked multiple times. We're definitely going to try and do some live streams from you guys being out there as best we can, figure out a way to make that work.
Mm-hmm. And we'll keep the content coming for the podcast while we're going.
Oh yeah. We've got 2 more to record today.
Yes.
And then we're going to get together next week and do the same thing. So there's going to be content for days.
I got some ridiculous things that we may or may not talk about. Yeah. We'll see.
But either way, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one.
Yeah. Adios, folks.